All right, guys, today's video is about the method you choose to do when you do your food plot management system. I'm going to cover tilling versus no-till, and we're going to basically do like a pro and con or like a check sheet balance here on which one's better, which one's worse. So first off, it depends on how serious you are. So this video may apply heavily to you or it may not apply as much. Now, if you're trying to gain the best competitive edge over your neighbors, like I did in my previous video on competing with neighbors, or you're just trying to get the best nutrition plan possible for the best deer possible, then the method you choose is very, very important. The plot you see before you, if you're new, is a tilled food plot. I have been doing it here for years because it is basically the hand I am forced to work with right now. I cannot afford to upgrade equipment currently to do a no-till system. However, as far as let's start with cost here. So cost is easier on a no-till person, or I'm sorry, on a tilled person. When you till, that equipment's generally cheaper than a startup for a really nice no-till drill. I mean, granted, there's different grades of no-till drills, so don't harp in and say, well, this one's cheaper, this one's cheaper. I know that, and it just depends on how hard you're willing to work or how much money you're willing to save in the long run on which method you pick here. And I would rather have a 3-point hitched no-till drill than one that has the big turn bars on it, saving money. So a tilled system is cheaper to run, but you're missing out on the main purpose of your food plot to start with. If you're serious about it, here's what you need to stick in your head. The name of the game is roots. Roots are the #1 beneficiary of what method you choose to do. So your plants that are currently growing here reflect that method. And now, granted, this is a tilled plot, and I have excellent, and I mean excellent returns for a tilled food plot. But I have learned to modify how the process of tilling has been done over compared to what I used to do. A matter of fact, I might be willing to dig up an old video and show you how this plot started off. I'll have to see if I still got them. My computer has changed since then, but I still may have them stored in my external hard drive somewhere. And you'll see what this plot looked like a long time ago compared to what you're looking at now. But tilling inhibits roots very, very badly. So tilling actually creates a hard pan you don't see. The fluffed up dirt that you're looking at that you're so proud of is not. It is a temporary, and I mean absolutely temporary, solution to hard soil, and it becomes a more problematic soil as time progresses. So you run your tiller through, and let's say you're running a tiller maybe 3 or 4 inches deep in the ground. So you're going to generate initially what looks like about 6 inches of depth because the soil has been fluffed up. And when you look at it, you're like, I've created, a really nice planting surface. Everything's great. But there's the hidden factor. Wherever that tiller lands, whether it's at 3 or 4 inches deep, there's going to be a hard pan in your soil. If you want to test that theory after you've tilled your plot, go out there and take your hand and scoop off an area down to where your tiller blades hit and see how hard that soil is. Your roots have to penetrate that. And a lot of plants will have a very difficult time doing that. There are some that you can put out that will penetrate it, but the vast majority of them will have a more difficult time beating that hard pan. So what occurs with root development? Your roots they basically turn into what you call a J root. You'll see the root initially start down, and it'll go straight down until it hits your hard pan. Then it might do a hard 90 and just follow the hard pan and not really, get full root mass. So let's do a quick example here. And let me find a good clump here along the edge that I can, let's see here. Yeah, this up here looks okay. Yeah, this one here looks pretty good. All right, so this one here is cereal rye. Cereal rye is a very heavily rooted plant. This one here is very fibrous and weighted. It really pushes down on harder soil. So here, if I pull this out, now when I tilled this plot, I have modified how I do it. So you're going to see a little bit of a difference here, and of course I can already tell rocks have already messed with this thing. What a surprise, surprise, right? So there's the root ball. Now granted, when I pulled this out of the ground, I broke off a lot of the roots. But by skimming it, I was at least able to allow that root to get a chance to break the hard pan. And from the looks of it, it probably did. Except for, look at what this rock has done. See how it's flattened the root out? You got this web effect right here. It's flat. The root can't go anywhere except one direction. J roots pretty much operate the same way. So there's a rock. Creates voids where roots can't grow. So this plant, even though it looks good, is inhibited by my soil type and the method I chose to do. So tilling, as far as trying to find the winning format, is not necessarily the winning format. It does work, but it's only a short-term type of method, and I'm now hitting year 7. It's too long in my book, but it's just the hand I'm dealt right now. So if you're looking for the best method possible, you use no-till. When you use a no-till drill, you are doing the least amount of soil disturbance possible when it comes to treating your ground healthy. It is a much, much better and safer option for your soil. The cost savings and root production go way up in multiple ways, not just fuel cost, which I'll get into that here in a second, but fertilizer cost, spray cost, all go down when you're using a no-till system. Tilling invites weeds. It also has a chance, like if the sun is really, really baking and you've turned all this to powdered exposed dirt, you're doing so many things wrong, where it kills bacteria, it can fry worms. If they can't get buried fast enough, birds can swoop in and take up your worms. There's a lot of negative effects that tilling can have on your food plots, and it also affects your deer. So I have really focused on mimicking no-till as much as possible. So now on the no-till system, your roots are free to grow. Other than the fact that what rocks I've got in here, the roots have much more free reign. The hard pan is no longer in existence, and these same plants, as crazy as this sounds, can grow roots 2 or 3 feet deep into your soil. Imagine how much nutrients are untapped when you're doing a tilling method. Your fertilizer rates have to go up to compensate because your hard pan stops everything. No-till, you can grab down deep, and in general, the deeper you can get, generally the richer the ground starts to become, unless it's, a totally different soil type mixed under there through layering that we just don't know about. But in general, the overall synopsis is it does get richer the deeper it gets. So like a plot like this could still actually grow better. It could grow faster, thicker, taller, all of it. And nutrition levels would be even higher than what I currently have now. So it's kind of the method you choose is the results you get. Tilling in general is no tilling in general is much easier because it saves fuel cost. If you look at it this way, like if I'm bringing a tiller through here, and let's say I'm going to till up this road right here, I'm literally dragging my tiller into the soil, creating a high amount of friction, and it takes more RPMs for my tractor to function right in order to get a tilled result. So I'm going to save, if I do a no-till system, almost 1/3 of the gas cost that it does in tilling. So in the long term, no tilling saves you a lot more money on fuel. Now, how does it save me money on fertilizer? One of them was what I mentioned, which is how deep the roots can get. Like I said, the name of the game is roots. If they are allowed to prosper, your food plot can prosper. Then the fertilizer rates either will go away completely, or a high percentage of your fertilizer cost is gone. The goal is to get it to zero. And eventually I think this plot will get there. It's just taking a lot longer. So if you're doing a soil restoring method like I'm trying to do, but I'm doing it with a tiller instead of no-till, it's actually taking me over twice as long to achieve that type of goal as far as how the plants look and grow structurally. Down below, I still have most of the same problems, although they have improved because I'm not digging as deep. I'm just skimming the top of the soil now. So that allows, in my opinion, a little bit less hard panning because my tiller cannot get a full bite in the ground when it's got all this biomass in front of it. It will bounce, which means it'll break whatever plants are here, but it may not necessarily hit the ground. As long as I get a kill off, I am satisfied with that. I don't come back and keep tilling until I see nothing but dirt. That's a mistake. I try to keep this as simple as possible and do it with the fewest passes as possible. So on no-till, I don't have to worry about that. I come through, and if you plant first, you're a lot better off. Plant first, run your tiller through this while it's standing, and it buys you, maybe 7 to 10 days, depending on what you planted, and you can come back in and crimp this down. So one of the problems that people run into when they're doing no-till, which people can get angry at because they may not understand some of the processes, but like this cereal rye right here, it's not seeding out, it's pollinating. It's got pollinators in it right now. There is no viable seed in this plant at all. There's no viable seed anywhere right now. Even these turnips, no viable seed. So when it comes to crimping, the best result that you can get is wait until this rye has seed that's in the dough stage. Dough stage means you can mash the seed and it breaks open like a pile of mush. That's the perfect time to crimp. So there's just a little bit more patience involved with crimping. You just need to wait a little longer. Tilling, I can do it anytime I want. So that can be a pro or a con depending on how you look at it. But I could have come in here and if it got knee deep, I could come in here and till it down if I wanted to. But I didn't. I'm patiently waiting for the food plot to tell me when. So that's kind of a checks and balances sheet. Also, on the crimper, you're less likely to have mechanical failures when you're doing no-till versus tilling because of less equipment. So no-till needs really a tractor, a crimper, and a drill. If you get into tilling, there can be many methods of equipment to achieve busted up soil. So the more equipment you buy, the better the odds are that something mechanically will break versus using a no-till system. And granted, you still have equipment malfunctions on no-till, but at least the odds are a little bit lower that you won't have so much of an expense on your machinery to keep it running properly. So I think that ought to help you out. And the end result, in my opinion, is no-till is by far the most efficient method compared to what I am doing. And eventually, one day, I will achieve that goal of no-till with a drill. I mean, it's going to be fantastic. I'll be happy as I can be the day I can do it. But this is the hand I'm dealt, and that's what we're going to have to work with. At least that's what you're going to watch me do for a while until I can get the money to do it. Since we're in the home stretch now, 7-foot post, we're nearing the same height here. I've still got 7 to 10 more days easily. I could actually still run an additional 2 weeks, but 7 to 10 is good enough. And this will be tilled down, but it is continuing to grow taller. And real quickly here, let me get inside here so you can see just the pure depth. For tilling, I am very, very happy with some type of result like this. So it does work, but there's just more negatives than positives compared to tilling. So that is all well above my head. That is at least right around 6'6", 6'7". I mean, that post is probably actually, maybe about 7'4", 7'5", maybe at the most. So it's still growing taller. Eventually I will measure this and see where I topped out at. But guys, I'm telling you, no tilling, for those of you that want really good plots with maximum nutrition, no-till will help you achieve that goal. So I hope this video helps you. And of course, if I have left something out, you can comment on it, but I know I probably have. I mean, no-tilling is a whole lot easier on your tractor than it is tilling. And I'll go ahead and tell you, with the method I'm doing, I am abusing my tiller because this ground is not pre-prepped like with a cultipacker or anything. I'm just coming straight in here and cutting this stuff down. And it could gum me up. It could cause gears to be stripped out, which one person did comment on, and they are right. It can happen. My tiller has a safety measure in it, which has a slip clutch, and it helps prevent my tractor from breaking gears or exploding, basically. But it only goes so far to protect me. But so far, out of 7 years now of use out here, I have not had that problem yet. But every time this grows taller and thicker, I'm going to start pushing the stress levels of my machinery. So that's something to keep in mind if you're doing a tilled system versus the no-till system. The better your ground starts getting, the harder it's going to get on that type of machinery, unless you burn this down or spray it out. And that's another thing, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this. Spray cost on tilling is much higher. So if you're a person that comes and looks at this plot and sprays all this out and kills it, you're adding poison to the ground. You're also adding additional cost, where here I'm not doing that. I'm not going to let it get fried by spray. I'm not going to wait and burn it off, which then allows the sun to bake the soil. Or he's like, well, if you're burning, it's healthy for your ground. You are absolutely right. But what happens when you burn, especially with something this thick? The ash column will probably get blown out into the field, which means you're dumping nutrients out of your food plot into other places. So keep that in mind when you're trying to determine what method you want to do. And I highly recommend no-till, guys. So I hope this video helps you. And I think this will be a fantastic year. Certainly looks it right now. And we'll see how much new soil and how much better my spring and summer crops look this year. You all have a wonderful day and keep those food plots growing.